this is Shraddha and welcome to my channel Astral Impact. In today's video, we'll be talking about the symbolism in tarot. Now, have you ever looked at a tarot card and wondered that there are certain elements in the card that really stand out, or there are certain objects in the card which catches your attention? It could be a color, or it could be in an illustration like the mountains or the clouds. So these are all representations within a card. And these elements are actually called as symbols. So symbols are basically objects or elements which are representative of something else. So it could be representative of something which is an intangible aspect. So every aspect that you see within a tarot card has a meaning, because there is nothing in a tarot card which is actually out of place. So every color, every illustration, it has its own significance which adds that richness to the interpretation, to the reading. So in today's video, we'll be looking at some of the most commonly found elements in the deck, and the deck that I'm referring to is the Rider-Waite Tarot deck. In my next two videos, I'll be touching upon the color symbolism in tarot, and I'll also be touching upon the number symbolism. So do keep a check for those videos as well. And for today, let's get into the video. Now the first important symbolism, it comes from the suits of the minor arcana. Now the minor arcana are made up of 4 suits, which is the wands, the swords, the cups, the pentacles. I've also covered this in a little more detail in one of my previous videos, which I'll be linking it over here, so do check that as well. So these suits or the categories are also denoted by its own symbol within the cards. So that is also how you identify the cards in the minor arcana. Like for example, when you look at the wands, now wands are sticks. So in the minor arcana, all the wands cards in that suit, it has the representation of the sticks or the wands. So wands are basically a representation of the fire element. It is a representation of your energy. It is a representation of your passion. It is, power. It is all about the enthusiasm. So it is that fire element within you. Then secondly, when we also look at the swords, they represent the air element. It represents your intellect, your decision. It represents your clarity in thoughts. So it is more to do with your mind. It is to do with your intellect. Then when we look at the cups are a little more feminine in nature. Cups stand for the water element. It is to do with your emotions, your feelings, your relationships, also with psychic abilities, your intuition, creativity. So they all come from the cups element. Then we are looking at the pentacles. The pentacle is a 5-pointed star within a circle. So you will have this representation in the pentacles suit. And the pentacles, they stand for the earth element, stability, being grounded. It stands for your finances, for money, for property. So everything to do with, these aspects, the material kind of aspects, the stability aspects are all denoted by the pentacles. Let's look at the angels now. Now angels are beings of the spiritual realm. They're very pure, they're very divine, they're guardian angels. So they are, relaying messages from the spiritual realm. And guardian angels are here to protect you. They're here to nudge you to make the right decision, to put you onto the right path. So when you have the angels in, the tarot card that comes up in your reading, it is basically conveying certain messages to you either from the universe or from the spiritual realm. When you look at the Lovers card, you cannot help but notice the angel over here because it occupies quite a significant space in the card. And this is the Archangel Raphael, and Archangel Raphael is the Archangel of healing. So whenever this card comes up in the deck, it's positive. It's generally considered to be a positive card because we always think of, lovers, love, romance, but unless you do have negative supporting cards around. Now when you look at the placement of the figures, the angel and the man and the woman, you see that it kind of forms like a triangle, and you feel that the angel here is blessing the couple. But when I actually looked at the card, I understand that it's very positive and it's love and all of that. But I also had a little different interpretation to the card. Now for me, the first thing that I also noticed as, there is a gap in the card between the man and the woman. Like this couple is not together, okay? Like when you have the 2 of cups, you can see the closeness, but over here there is a distance which is a little apparent for me. And within the gap you also see a mountain. A mountain is also a symbol for, certain issues or, obstacles that come in your way. Now, in my interpretation, like what I feel is that all love stories are not smooth sailing. There are going to be issues, there might be certain disagreements between the couple. So, for me, when I'm associating the Archangel Raphael, the Archangel of healing, with the man and the woman and the distance over there, it is also telling you to resolve your issues, get clear with certain issues that are standing in your way, which are not allowing you to come closer. The next card is the Temperance card. Now, the Temperance card is a card of balance. Now, the meaning of the word temperance itself means to temper, to moderate, to balance over here. So, the name of this angel is actually not really confirmed, because some say it is Archangel Michael, some say it is Gabriel because it is white in color, but actually it is not finalized. Now, this angel over here, when you look at this card, it's a very serene card. It's very peaceful. It's very calm, because even the color over here is white, which is purity and peace. So over here, when it is telling you to temper, it is telling you don't go into extremes. Like, for example, when you're very angry, you may want to make a very rash decision. You may just get into a conclusion without, really moderating your thoughts, without really moderating your behavior. So it is telling you don't go into extremes, don't get into impulses, don't make that rash decision, but it is telling you to step back, it is telling you to temper, it is telling you to balance, and don't make a one-sided decision. It is telling you to do that. So basically, the balance also comes, wherein you're balancing your physical needs, your emotional needs, your spiritual needs, even a balance between practicality and your emotional side as well. So there is a balance which needs to come. On a side note, there are also 4 Hebrew letters in the Temperance card, and if you know about it, do let me know in the comments as well. Judgment card. Now over here, this angel is Archangel Gabriel, and it is here to convey a message. Now this blowing of the trumpet that you actually see is an awakening call. It is telling you to come clean. Like when you look at the figures over here, they're coming out from a coffin, and it's almost like they are asking for forgiveness, or they are asking to be saved. So this is exactly what the Archangel Gabriel over here is telling you. It is telling you that it is time now. It's like high time. Okay, so it is telling you rectify your issues, rectify your mistakes. I am giving you a second lease of life. So it is also coming out of the coffin, which is like rebirth. So it is giving you a second opportunity, a second chance. But you need to atone for your sins. You need to come clean. You need to rectify, sort those issues which have happened, and only then will I be able to, give you a clean slate of life from now on. So this is basically a warning signal. It is also a final call, and it is that awakening which is required for you when it comes. Look at water. Now water could be represented through oceans, through waves. Water is a very important element for representing your emotions, your subconscious. Now, very important to note is also the state of water that is represented in the card. Like, for example, is it calm? Are there a lot of waves there? Or are they choppy waters? Like, for example, when you look at the Temperance card, you get a sense of being very serene. And even the water here is like very calm. So that is what adds to the overall representation of this card. When you look at the Two of Pentacles, you can see the waves behind. So that's very choppy, because that is exactly what that card is also telling you. Because there is, a lot of disbalance which is happening in this card. So the choppy waves, they are adding to the interpretation. When you look at the Six of Swords, the Six of Swords is actually a journey from being in emotional turmoil to peace. And there are 2 states of water here. Like, for example, you look at the choppy waves, like you look at, a little bit of movement. Is actually moving from a state of being in emotional turmoil, distress, to a better phase. So this is her journey from one phase of life, which is a kind of a negative aspect, to a better phase of life. So this is how the water here represents the two states of life as well. Hills and mountains are basically a representation for difficulties, or there is an obstruction in the way. So for example, the fool is on his journey, but he does not know about the difficulties that he may encounter. So there are difficulties in the background which he is supposed to be navigating through. Now when you also look at the strength card, there is again the representation of the mountain. Now the strength basically telling you that this line could be a representation for the difficulties, the obstruction, which this lady has to use her strength. Now the third is when you see the lovers that we were talking about in the previous card. So the mountain over here is the distance between the two. So there are certain issues, there are certain, obstructions in between that you need to actually come through, like come clean, sort your issues, and then there could be a lot of happiness and closeness as a couple. Now let's look at the butterfly. Now what are butterflies? Butterflies are just free. They're just free. They're happy. So that is exactly what it is telling you as well. It is symbolizing freedom. It is symbolizing the freedom of the mind when it comes in the king, the queen of swords. It is telling you about transformation, because metamorphosis was a concept that we actually learned in science. So it is that transformation. So it is telling you to evolve. It is your own self journey. It is your self discovery. So that is how. And butterflies, whenever you see it, they're happy. It's like a very happy, positive sign. But very importantly, it's a sign for transformation. So that is how you have the king and queen of swords. So they have the mental freedom, they have the clarity. So that is how you have the butterflies. You also have the clouds. Now you must have come across a clouded mind, clouded thoughts. That means it's confusion. It is lack of clarity. So when you have a cloud in a card, that means there is a lack of clarity which is depicted over here. It needs to be cutting through with all these confusions and disillusionment at many times as well. So let's look at the cards which depict the clouds. Now we see the tower, because when we look at the tower card, we actually see that there is a kind of destruction which has come into the card, and the clouds over here, they add to the element of that destruction. Three of Swords, you see that there are these huge big clouds there. So that means there is a lot of emotional turmoil. There is a lot of emotional confusion as well. So that is how the clouds are depicting it. Then we also see the Knight of Swords. The Knight of Swords is on his horse and at full speed. So this full speed, sometimes it could be a very brash thinking. It could be a very brash decision. So the way the clouds has been illustrated also adds to that rashness and brashness. We also have greenery and we also have flowers. Now whenever we see greenery, we just feel so fresh. We feel very serene. We feel we are with nature. There is like some kind of spiritual connection which is there with nature. We feel beautiful when we look at flowers. They bloom. It brings happiness. It brings joy. And when we look at the Empress card, she's like the Empress. So she is somebody who is like connected with nature, one with nature, and it basically represents growth. It represents fertility, and therefore even the Empress card is a card of motherhood. So it's a very important aspect over here. So it is signifying growth, it is signifying fertility. When we also see the sun, you see the sunflowers. So it brings that element of joy. It adds the element of joy to the card. So it was a perfect symbol to denote that happiness, to denote the feeling of joyfulness in this card. And sunflowers are supposed to be like the happy flowers, like it's like sunflower. Then you have the Six of Cups. Like when you see the Six of Cups, again there are a lot of flowers. So there's a lot of abundance. So flowers, greenery, they all signify abundance. Joy, there's a lot of warmth which comes through the flowers, through the Six of Cups. Now, apart from the flowers, we also see that there are fruits. So, what are fruits? Now, fruits are basically the fruits of your labor. It is the rewards for all the hard work, for all the efforts that you've put in. Now, when we look at the Three of Cups, the Three of Cups are basically three figures. There are three women who are celebrating. So, they are celebrating a victory. There is a celebration. So, there is, a reward for the accomplishment of a common goal. So that is how you have the representation of the fruits in the card. Then you also have the Nine of Pentacles, you have the King of Pentacles. Now these are self-made people. These are the people who have worked up, they've come up the rungs, they've done everything. So they've done all the hard work and now they're enjoying the rewards. So that is how you have the rewards for their hard work. Then we also see that there is a pathway. So when you see a pathway, means it's a road. Now pathways are a symbol for a path which is leading on to where you are supposed to be. Like for example, when you look at the moon, you see a pathway here. So it is also telling you that the road that you are on currently is probably not the right road. So you need to look for this particular road. You need to create your path within all the turmoil that is happening, the sadness. Because when you look at the moon, it is not a pleasant card. So you feel that there is some kind of depression, or there is some kind of sadness which is associated. So it is telling you to create that path within the sadness over here. When you look at the Ace of Pentacles, the Ace of Pentacles is a beginning. So it is the Ace. So it is a beginning of some new opportunities. It is opening up the door for you. When you look at the Eight of Cups, now the Eight of Cups is a card of abandonment. It is leaving away something which is not working out for you. So here we see that this person in red, he's creating his own path. So he's not emotionally satisfied with whatever was happening in his life. So he's decided to leave it because it was not emotionally fulfilling. So there was some element that was not working out. So he decided that no, I'm not going to stay on with it. I have to move on, and that is how he's created his new path. So those are the representations of a new way of life, creating, charting your own territory. Now we also look at the infinity symbol. It is like the figure 8, and technically it is called the Lemnis Gate. And the infinity symbol, the name itself, it symbolizes that it is infinite. So the potential is infinite, the strength is infinite, and it is like momentum which is there. So for example, when you look at the magician, you look at the number 8, the symbol which is drawn, and you know that this is the person who has infinite potential to accomplish. This is a manifestation card. So he has this unlimited potential within him to create whatever he wants to create. So he has all the tools and all the potential with him. Then you also look at the strength card. Now she also has the infinity symbol above her head. So that means she's got infinite strength to deal with hardships, to deal with obstacles, to deal with things which are not really working out for her right now. So she's got that inner fortitude which is there within her. Then we also see the Two of Pentacles. Now when you see the Two Pentacles, it is also the symbol of fate. So what it means that this is not a very positive card, because it's more about balancing. So what it is telling you is that there are probably many events in your life, or there are many such situations in your life which are just not ending. It is like just going on. Like for example, you may solve one particular problem in your life, then you have the second problem coming up, the second problem is solved, then you have the third problem coming up. So forever you're in that momentum trying to juggle one after another. And how many times in our life we actually find ourselves like this, like trying to juggle, trying to maintain the balance. So this also is that infinite symbol which just doesn't seem to end. Now when we spoke about the moon card, the moon itself is also a symbol for something. Now what is the moon? The moon reflects our subconscious, it reflects our emotions, our hidden fears as well. It also reflects intuition, it reflects that connection with the divine. So for example, when you look at the High Priestess, you have the moon. So she's a very intuitive being. So here the moon is representing her intuition. It is also representative of a creative aspect as well. Look at the moon card itself. The moon card over here, there is a feeling of disillusionment. It is a feeling of emotional disillusionment, to be like a little more clearer. Then when you look at the Eight of Cups, even over here you see that the sadness of the moon over here itself, it sets the entire tone for the Eight of Cups, which is sadness. Now let's look at some of the Egyptian symbols in the tarot deck. Now the first symbol I want to talk about are the pyramids. Now the pyramids, mythologically, they were the tombs of Pharaoh. So it was basically a journey to the afterlife. So death was only looked as the beginning to the afterlife. So in the similar way, you have the page and you have the Knight of Wands. So the page over here is also on his journey, but his journey has not started. So right now, what you actually see in the card is that he's assessing his journey, he's assessing his work, he's calculating how should he be going about it. And once he's ready to be transformed then into the Knight of Wands, who is ready and he's off on his journey. Mythologically is considered to be a gatekeeper of a threshold. Now in Hindi, a threshold is known as dehliz. So it is basically testing you whether you are capable of crossing this dehliz, this threshold or not. So do you have the courage in you? Do you have the discernment in you? Do you have the wisdom in you? So when you look at the Chariot card, you can also see the black and white. Okay, so it is also representing duality. It is telling you that you have to maintain a balance between opposing forces. So these forces are going to be coming in your way. So this journey has not yet started. So these forces are, you can expect it on your journey ahead. So are you ready to take on the challenge? Are you ready to deal with these forces in your life? And it is testing your worthiness for it. Even when you're looking at the Wheel of Fortune, you also have this here because it is the gatekeeper. So it is basically testing you. So it is that watch guard which is there. Now there are many other symbols as well in tarot. I've just covered some of the most common elements that you can find. There are many other symbols, like you have the dove, you've got thrones, you've got pillars. There are many others, just the tip of the iceberg that you can say. And there are a lot of symbols. I mean, the Rider deck is like, it abounds in symbolism actually. And very importantly also is that whenever you have certain cards in your spread and the same symbol keeps on repeating, that means there is a message through that as well. So also take a note of that. So I'll be concluding this video for today, and yeah, the upcoming videos are the color symbolism and the number symbolism. So do check that out. Until then, see you, take care, happy learning, and bye.